So Disney just released Raya and the Last Jedi, and I decided to pay $30 to watch it 3 months early. Today we're going to explore all that Kumandra has to offer and answer the pivotal question, is it worth buying? Raya and the Last Dragon is a very enjoyable and fast-paced film with characters that feel distinct and charming. It isn't too difficult to understand the universe and world of this story, like some other movies, and it all pays off with a conclusion that was pretty predictable, but there's a cool twist thrown in that makes the climax worthwhile. Honestly, the comedy from this movie was pretty lacking. There aren't too many hilarious jokes, and all the big ones felt kinda out of place in the world they are in, like this one from the trailer.
Have you ever done like a group project, but there's like that one kid who didn't pitch in as much, but still ended up with the same grade?
Yeah, what is this movie's world again? But Sisu isn't just an annoying side character, she actually plays one of the biggest roles in the plot, so don't worry about that. Honestly, if this movie had come out in like, let's say 2015, I really don't think anyone would be able to accept the extreme indoctrination and division these characters suffer from. They quickly find themselves in a life-threatening situation, and instead of coming together to fight it off, they just keep fighting. Does this sound familiar to anyone? I can't help but think that if 2020 didn't happen, nobody would believe this movie. But to elaborate, I need to dive into spoilers, so if you haven't seen this movie, skip to this timestamp to see if it's worth buying. Anyways, here's the spoiler section. You know, it's honestly really refreshing to get a Disney movie with this much ambition that doesn't feel overly complicated, like that one movie that should not have come out in the year 2019. All of the locations feel fleshed out, just not explored enough. Like, I wish there were more scenes in Talon, that place looked really freaking cool. But I do applaud this movie for keeping a pretty fast pace, because it almost made the movie feel like a video game. Like, as we traveled through each of these kingdoms, it felt like we were going to different towns in Pokemon to get gym badges, or walking through different biomes in Minecraft. It all happens so fast, in the best way possible. The characters are all really cool. I really like this capitalist 9-year-old. I also like that they didn't have to tell us that the spine leader was a father, they just showed an empty cradle and everyone's dead bodies. It also explains why he had an attachment to whatever that baby's name was.
Noi, it's a name. It's written on a collar. Have none of you ever checked?
Oh right, sorry. Noi is pretty cool too, I just kinda wish they didn't spoil her in the trailers. And I like how after Raya catches her, it's visually implied that Noi is a con baby because she doesn't have a family, and how else is she gonna get food? The jokes were okay.
I'm a wicked when I hit that liquid. I got water skills that kill. I slaughter when I hit the water.
Yeah, never mind, they aren't really funny. I mentioned the group project joke, but this movie also talks about using credit, and it kind of extends for way longer than it needs to. I mean, to be fair, none of these jokes are as bad as the one from Frozen 2 where Olaf literally says he's gonna Google something, but it takes you out of the movie considering there's a lot of these. Once you understand what needs to be done to bring everyone back to life and the divisive nature of the kingdoms is established, just about anyone can figure out how this movie's gonna end. And with that in mind, I can see how it could frustrate a lot of people because literally all that needs to happen is Raya just needs to invite all the kingdom leaders to one place and be like, hey guys, look over here, I literally found Sisu. Give me your gem pieces so we can bring everyone back to life. And yeah, I get that she didn't do this because Raya doesn't trust anyone anymore, but everyone has lost someone from this plague. I think it's in everyone's interest to revive the entirety of Kumandra under whatever circumstances possible. Well, except for this piece of crap who only wants to do it for self-interest.
If we had the dragon and the gem pieces, we would be forgiven. We could save the world.
So you're telling me that Fang has to be the one to bring everyone back so they can have the clout for it? What? I still don't even know how to feel about this because on one hand, I can totally see something like this happening in real life, but like, why does this matter? Everyone is dying, just give the stone to Raya. And even the climax at the end when Capitalist Kid, Boss Baby, and Smearensburg Leader refuse to give up their gem pieces, it's like, what other choice do you have at this point? It's either put the pieces back together or die. However, there's a lot more with the divisiveness that I think this movie gets right than wrong. I love how Raya's dad straight up explained that everyone's so divided because of the indoctrination of their kingdoms. I really like what they did to Numari's character. It's kinda obvious when she shoots Sisu that she isn't doing it because she wants to, she's doing it out of obligation to her kingdom. Whereas at the beginning of the movie, she didn't feel any regret for betraying Raya. She was perfectly happy happy to do so. I kinda wish they further implied the message Numari was clearly going through. It's okay to break away from your toxic family members, especially if they would rather let the entire kingdom die than work with people they don't get along with. That's probably the biggest criticism I have with this movie. There's so many full ideas just sitting there, but not enough is really done to flesh them out because they had to keep the pace fast. In both of Numari's betrayal scenes, they made it clear that it wasn't specifically Raya or Numari's fault, it was a byproduct of the division between the kingdoms. Numari clearly wants to bring everyone back, but she felt like she'd be betraying Fang if she didn't follow her mom's orders. And the gem breaking at the beginning was kinda everyone's fault, except Raya should not have let Numari into that cave. Like, I get why she did it, it makes perfect sense, but come on, that's the oldest trick in the book. And at the end of the movie, when they all realize that Sisu's death was a group effort, not just one person's fault, they come together to save everyone at the end. But Raya wouldn't have been open to this had she not heard Sisu's backstory, so even though she wasn't used in the magic of bringing everyone back like we had thought, her character wasn't worthless. That's a neat little twist that I honestly didn't see coming. It kinda reminds me of Maui from Moana. He only existed to give Moana the confidence to fight Taka. He didn't need to actually help her, he just needed to teach her how to sail. Oh wait, Maui does show up during the fight, like halfway through. You know, I really like this movie, but I gotta admit that's kinda dumb. But all in all, this movie effectively works in a mostly believable and charming way. It's almost like they knew 2020 was gonna happen when they wrote the plot for this movie. If anything, 2020 has taught us even in terrible tragedies that hurt everyone, we're still not gonna get along. And this movie was originally gonna come out in November 2020. November 2020. I don't think that was an accident. They knew exactly what they were doing. But now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Is this worth $30? Yeah, it honestly depends. Premiere Access is a really difficult concept to envision a proper comparison to when all you see is the $30 price tag for a movie that is going to be free in 3 months. So let me break it down. This is a movie that was going to come out in theaters, so it isn't fair to compare it to buying a film at the store. When you buy this movie, you keep it forever as long as you have Disney Plus, so it isn't even a rental. The best way to compare this movie and to figure out if you should buy it is to ask yourself, would I pay $10 to see this movie in theaters? If the answer is yes, then depending on your situation, $30 will either be a good deal or a bad deal. If you're the only one benefiting from the purchase, you're spending 3 times more than you would at the theater. However, you only see the movie once at the theater, and you can watch this movie as many times as you want as long as you keep your subscription, which if you don't plan on doing that, don't buy this movie. I'd say if you have a large family, it's worth buying, especially if you have children, they will eat this movie up. If you're impatient, like me, and you know that you're probably gonna hate the fact that everyone on the internet is talking about a movie that you haven't seen because you don't want to spend $30, you might as well just buy it. Keep in mind you aren't spending $30 for a piece of garbage that didn't have any right to exist in the first place.
I don't care what she looks like.
I agree.
I care what she cooks like.
This is an actual good movie that isn't like a masterpiece that everyone needs to watch right now, but is a fun experience, and I'm sure anyone who cares enough to watch an original Disney animation film will probably enjoy this movie. I'm glad I paid for it. 1, because I was kinda low-key disappointed by the end of WandaVision. 2, because I get to make this video. And 3, it's just a good time. I'm gonna give this movie a very high 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching this video. Follow me on my socials. I have a letterbox now, by the way. You should follow me there. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see ya in Radiator Springs. Yes, that's my outro now. I don't care.